of merchandising for Winn-Dixie, Larry Biggerstaff, as he gives the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
The engines are fired, the adrenaline running at its highest as they're about to pull out onto this racetrack and take on Talladega Superspeedway. Welcome back. A gorgeous day here in Talladega, Alabama for the Mountain Dew 250 presented on Speed by Toyota. The truck's about to roll out onto the racetrack. Our starting grid will roll across the bottom of the screen. That 99 of Eric Darnell grabbing his third career pole. He will lead the field to the green flag today. We will shine a spotlight on 5 different drivers today. We're going to start off with the 81 driven by Landon Cassill, right?
Looking forward to the race today. This will be his 7th start, and Landon ran in the ARCA REMAX series yesterday, and he had a lot of practice, and he said what he learned was that he needs to be a pusher, not a leader. He knows he's got a lot to learn about this type of racing, and he hopes to be a benefit to somebody out there today and gain some respect. Now, this 81 truck will also be driven the rest of the year by Donnie Leah. Today, the last race for Landon Cassill. That way.
And you talk, Ray, about guys that raced in the ARCA REMAX series yesterday. Brian Silas, another one of those. He starts 31st this afternoon. He's full-time in the ARCA REMAX series. 12th in the standings, 6 top 10s. And he wants to say a special thanks to D.R. Horton, helping this team this afternoon, and they hope a few more one-race deals like this will come up so they can continue to gain experience in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Chris Devoto.
Well, we talked about how there's only been 2 truck races at this track, but John Wood has other Talladega experience, 3 nationwide races, and he raced the Cup race here in the spring. He started 12th and finished 36th, but you see him drifting to the back. John Wood will have to start from the back. They had trouble with the starter, trouble starting up the truck this morning. They made a change. He will start from the back of the pack. Phil.
Krista, I want to take a look at Justin Hopgood. He drives the number 53 truck. It's sponsored by the Georgia Beef Board. Justin's a longtime Dash Series competitor. He actually won the Dash race at Daytona in 2001 and was second in points in 2003. This is his 6th career start in the Truck Series. His last start was Daytona early this year, and he finished 20th. He had to change an engine right before qualifying yesterday, so he will go to the back of the pack. Justin Hopgood, number 53. Mikey.
That was a nice story, Phil.
Thank you.
A lot of details there. Look at my guy, Rick Crawford. Remember at Daytona, 3-wide finish, he won by about a foot. Last year here at Talladega, he lost by about a foot. What I'm telling you is this guy knows how to race on the big tracks. Watch for this number 14 truck starting in the 11th spot to be a part of the story today.
And a big story would be if Rick Crawford could move up front, a Mobile, Alabama native. We'll ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being John Wes Townley. He will start 2nd today and carry one of our cameras.
We're also going to ride along with the Toyota onboard of Mike Wallace, a Germain Toyota. Mike is a drafting specialist, always runs well here in Daytona. He won the nationwide race at Daytona a few years ago, and Mike Wallace is in that 9 truck starting in the 10th spot.
We decided to put a camera in Todd Bodine's truck because he brought the checker home last year, winning here at Talladega. So look for some great shots out of this Lumber Liquidators onboard camera riding with Todd Bodine.
One of the most talented drivers in 2008 in all of NASCAR has to be Kyle Busch. We'll ride along with him. He's got 18 wins in NASCAR this season alone. Can he make it 19 today? We'll ride along with him. He starts 13th today. The green flag will fly when we come back to Talladega Superspeedway. Welcome back. Mountain Dew 250 presented on Speed by Toyota. Attention speed fanatics. Atlanta Motor Speedway is giving NASCAR Craftsman Truck and Sprint Cup ticket holders a chance to upgrade their tickets from the seat to the suite. Bring your Craftsman Truck or Sprint Cup ticket to the speed stage the morning of the race. Enter to win a seat to the suite upgrade, which includes pre-race pit road access and 2 Atlanta Motor Speedway suite tickets. Visit atlantamotorspeedway.com. Let's head down trackside to our thoughts before green. Ray Dunlap, what have you got?
Well, Rick, you know, we talk about statistics a lot, and maybe Talladega is the one track where statistics don't mean very much. But I think it's important to look at the truck that Todd Bodine is driving today. It's number 58, and this truck has had 5 races on super speedways, 2 wins, and 5 5 top 5s. But today's race is number 20 of the season, and I think that might be even more important because when Todd Bodine is in race number 20, he's been excellent. 3 wins and a 4th place right here at Talladega. I think Todd Bodine in number 30 truck is the one to beat today at Talladega. Adam?
Ray, if you look at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series standings, you will see that after the last 7 races, Johnny Benson has been the point leader. So immediately you think domination, but that's not the case. Look at these numbers in the last 3 events. At Gateway, 3rd for Benson, a win for Hornaday. A 2nd for Benson at Loudon, New Hampshire when Hornaday went to victory lane. And there's the big one, the 27th at Las Vegas. In all, Hornaday has gained 93 points in the last 3 races. He's only 1 point out coming into today, and a big turning point could happen here this afternoon. Krista?
Well, if you watch the setup, you heard us talk about how this track rewards experience. In our 2 races, both winners, Todd Bodine and Mark Martin, in their 40s. Joey Logano in his very first truck start today, trying to smash that stat. But how young is Logano? 18 years old. He has never experienced the Reagan administration. 80s big hair bands. He missed all of glam rock, and this may be the biggest thing. Joey Logano never witnessed an episode of ALF. That's incredible.
It definitely is incredible. And continuing on with that youth statement, the top 3 starters in this race averaged age 21 years old. So a lot of youth leading this field to the green flag.
But I gotta believe Joey Logano watched ALF in syndication. I mean,
TV land.
How are you not going to see ALF?
A lot of people probably have no idea what ALF is.
That's a classic.
Of course it is. The lights are out on the pace truck. That means that they will make this final turn through the tri-oval and see the green flag and get underway. And the speed and intensity is about to pick up.
And their heart rate is picking up right now. The closer they get to that green flag, they know for the next 250 miles, it's going to be on.
Eric Darnell, John West Townley, 1 and 2. They make up the front row. And here they come through the tri-oval. The green flag is in the air. We're underway at Talladega.
Now, Phil, remember the domination of those first 3 trucks in qualifying yesterday. They beat the rest of the field by a half a second. Watch how all that goes away right now when this air starts squirming around.
Completely out the window.
3 wide already in turn number 2.
Joey Logano in the middle right now. He's the front car. Actually, now John West Townley is in the middle of the racetrack. They're already 3 wide all the way down the backstretch.
The speeds will get upwards of 190 to 191 miles an hour. Now in qualifying, they weren't anywhere near that.
That shows you how important the air is. These trucks will actually pick up 10 miles an hour over what they could qualify when they get in this draft like this.
Isn't that very interesting? We have these beautiful trucks and these talented drivers. The most important thing today is something you can't even see. The air.
The air. And right now, they are seeing something on the racetrack, and it's debris. And so our first caution actually comes out on lap 1.
That's interesting. Those guys are all keyed up.
Well, and somebody saw something on the racetrack they didn't like. And so the caution flag flies for the first time. They will take the debris off the racetrack. Everybody collect your breath and come right back. Tomorrow on Speed NASCAR Race Day heads to Talladega, where only one pre-race show can handle the high banks. Will the big one claim the big dreams of the championship contenders? NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot. Live coverage begins tomorrow, 11 Eastern.
You know who Wendy's going to have as her real deal interview?
I do not.
You know, Mike?
No.
Bobby Allison.
Yeah, I heard that. I knew, but I couldn't remember. You know who's going to be on trackside next week?
Who?
Jessica Simpson.
Really?
On speed. Jessica Simpson on
Very
trackside.
cool.
Adam Alexander.
Great to have Mike Wallace in the field today, starting 10th, but he's dropped outside the top 20, and the reason is he hit the debris that caused this caution. He was upset with himself, apologized to the crew. He said the tires seemed to be fine. They looked at the truck when he went by the start-finish line on pit road. They said it looks good, and the report from the spotter stand positive as well. So he thinks he's okay, just the loss of track position. We will keep an eye on the 9 truck when we get the green flag. Krista?
Joey Logano is just sort of letting things sink in right now. Remember, this is his very first truck start. The first time he raced at Talladega was yesterday in the ARCA race. And we talked about his young age. He almost won that ARCA race. He finished second. And I said, well, you've got to be happy with that, right? He said, nope, I want more.
Well, he's about to get more, and let's see if he can handle it. Actually, this is probably one of the toughest tests he'll face in his young career. Green flag back in the air. It's still Eric Darnell in front of his teammate Colin Brown.
This is good for these guys, you know, Phil. They ran a half a lap. They had already gotten 3 wide because they started side by side. That pokes a bigger hole in the air. Now they're single file. Maybe it'll be a bit of a calmer restart than it was a start. What do you think?
Well, I hope so. Here are a couple Fords out front here, a couple teammates, Eric Darnell and Colin Brown. Then they've got Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday right behind them. And look, everyone hugs that yellow line. Everybody wants to get down to the bottom. And who's going to be the first guy to step out?
And I want to tell you, that's the plan. People say, let's guard that yellow line. That's a great plan, but you can't use that as your sole option. You have to be willing and ready to jump out to the outside if you want to win this race. If you just say, I'm going to hang on the yellow line, you'll never win.
That's right. Here comes, looks like maybe Brendan Gaughan, maybe on the outside. Somebody's going to go up there.
Testing that second line, we see Kyle Busch. He peeks the nose of that number 51 Toyota Tundra out from behind the 22 to see if he can get a look.
And remember, we talked earlier. Right now, if Scott Speed or Kyle Busch was to pull out and it doesn't work, the race is not over for them.
No.
He's going to the back,
but
he'll come back up to the front.
I encourage, you know, any of the young drivers that ask me, make your mistakes early. Figure out if you can indeed make that move, and when you can't make it, it'll make you smarter later in the race. So a little bit of experimenting in the early going is not a bad thing.
Looks like that may be Mike Wallace.
Yep.
Right behind Brendan Gaughan. See Terry Cook, the Weiler.com Toyota, jumps up in front of Brendan. That outside line is back about 20th, but they're making some headway, it looks like.
And guys, you know what's cool? When we were just listening right there to Kyle Busch's truck, we could hear the RPMs increase right when those trucks started to move in that high line.
And there you see Joey Logano said, oh, I like this. I like what's going on behind me here. Let me get a feel for this. He pulls up to the outside, sort of slows Johnny Benson's momentum. He had to block Johnny a little bit, and now he's up a little bit higher than he needs to be. So Johnny's thinking, I would have just soon you stay down there in line, son.
I don't mind you learning, but don't learn in front of me.
Yeah, learn right behind me.
Now that second line trying to move on the inside line. We're seeing more trucks moving out there into that second line.
And see these guys in the second line right here on the outside line. One of those guys is going to say, I've got to run on the guy leading that or whatever, and I'm going to pull to the outside. We're going to make it 3 wide here. That will happen.
You see, and right now, Johnny's probably kind of hoping, yeah, he's pulling out to get around Logano. He didn't like the way he was going about things. He was probably hoping that Joey would have tucked over closer to those inside line trucks, side drafting, kind of causing them to lose their momentum while propelling that outside line alone.
Just like Johnny's doing right now. He's got Terry Cook right behind him.
Yeah.
He pulls down next to that truck, and that really hurts the momentum of the truck on the inside.
And I don't think Johnny liked what he was seeing out of Joey, so he said, I better show you how to do this. So Joey's learning. We haven't seen Alf yet, but
learn by fire in a situation here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. But you see this big move, it looks like, with Kyle Busch.
Listen to him playing with the gas, though. That's what's interesting. You know, you've got this big line on the outside rolling along, making headway, but they can't stay wide open in the gas because of all the jumbling that's going on.
Adam Alexander.
And the best way to get an education is follow someone around who knows how to get it done. Kyle Busch won the race here in the spring in the Sprint Cup Series, and the man right behind him, John West Townley. You're right on board with Townley right here. A moment ago, Busch looked to go to the high groove. They said, do not follow him there. So they're trying to keep John West Townley in the low lane. But guys, Chad Norris, not Chad Knaus, his crew chief, is doing a nice job of coaching this youngster on the radio. He started on the front row here at Talladega this afternoon.
The bottom here, you see it. There you go.
See a couple slow trucks coming off the racetrack on the inside.
And that's, you know, like I said earlier, coaching your young guy to stay on the bottom, that's okay, that's safe, but you'll never win like that, and you won't learn as much as if you'll take a chance and go up and get in that outside line and see what happens.
And maybe the 09 of John West Townley, maybe their goal is just to finish in the top 10. He's 18 years old. They're not thinking win right now. Get some experience, try to be there at the end.
Mike Skinner made the move up into that second line, and it looked as though the second line was moving, and now they've stalled out just a bit, and the bottom line continues to pull away.
Saw Dennis Setzer dip down below the yellow line for just a moment.
Yeah, that outside line is sort of falling apart a little bit, Rick. Good call. They've lost all their momentum and can't seem to keep the pace.
Now, Eric Darnell's out in front of this pack. Is he watching his mirror the whole time, or is he just saying, okay, I've got to stay right on the bottom of the track?
No, that's what you have to, in order to win a restrictor plate race, you have to be equally as comfortable in driving your truck while looking backwards. You have to understand what's going on around you at all times. So he is totally driving that truck. Hopefully it's handling well enough to where he can just drive it and not worry about the handling of it and keep his eyes peeled in that mirror. He needs to understand what's happening with Skinner leading that outside row. He needs to make sure he understands how far that second place truck of Colin Brown is off his bumper. He's got to know what's going to happen next. He's got to anticipate those things, and you can only do that by looking from behind.
Watch this now. On the right-hand side, there's a little bit of bump drafting. In the drivers' meeting, they said, please don't do any bump drafting. Well, there's a little bit of a bump drafting right there. And then we had a close call a minute ago. Remember, I said Dennis Setzer dipped down below the yellow line. See, that was because there was some contact with the 7 of T.J. Bell.
Now, T.J.'s voice just went up about 4 octaves right there.
No, you can't go up.
It was already up there, but it might have gone up just a little bit higher. Now, that bump drafting was between teammates. That was Mike Skinner and Johnny Benson.
That was perfect bump drafting. That was Johnny just giving Mike a little nudge, just helping him along. These bumpers don't match up, Phil. That's why NASCAR says don't bump draft. The front bumper on a truck is lower than the tailgate. So if you start hitting each other, it's going to spin you out. That's what they've done with the new car you'll see racing here in Talladega tomorrow. They've tried to match the front and rear bumpers together. These cars tomorrow, you'll see pushing each other all the way around the track. It's not that these guys don't know how to do that. It just won't work with these trucks.
X-Ray, what have you got?
Johnny Benson said, can I get in front of Mike Skinner? They said, we'll try to work it out on the radio. He said, I believe that the 23 truck will be faster if we're leading. He was going to swap spots with Skinner, but check it out. The whole line goes by. Skinner hung on the high side. He's lost at least 5 spots. Skinner was trying to help out his teammate. Looks like he's going to lose at least 10 positions.
Yeah, that was a situation. There was no way that Mike was going to be able to get in line behind Johnny. That was probably an ill-formed strategy right there.
Well, I don't even think that was strategy. Mike's smart enough to know that ain't going to work. He rolled out the gas and said, well, I can't make any progress here. I might just fall to the back and watch you guys try for a while.
See if Johnny Benson can make the move, make that second line go a little bit quicker up on the high side of Talladega. We'll be back for more Green Flag Racing right after this. Pink's All Out ignites Thursday night with an all-new episode as the competition heats up. A timing system failure sends the Pink's All Out crew scrambling and threatens to jeopardize the entire race. Pink's All Out Thursday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on Speed.
See the 2 truck of Jack Sprague slowing down on the high side of the racetrack. He may have just got shuffled out. Looks like he's off the pace right now.
Well, we saw Mike Skinner do the same thing and fall all the way to the back. Next time I looked up, he was leading a charge 3 wide on the outside, but something's wrong with his 2 truck.
Yeah, that was John Wood that just went by him right now, and John is the last truck remaining on the lead lap on the racetrack, and he is less than 3 seconds behind, Adam. What's wrong with Jack Sprague?
He just came on the radio and said it's something in the motor. Ernie Cope, the crew chief, came back and said, bring it down pit road. Did you blow it up? And Jack Sprague said he's not for sure. But as you can see, as the draft goes through the tri-oval at a slow rate of speed, Jack Sprague going to come down. A tough break for this team who knows all too well what a situation like this is like.
All of a sudden, the team, the 33 team, his teammate is thinking, that's the motor. I wonder if our motor is
what
like
just
that.
happened there?
Exactly.
Let's have as much information as we can get as to what may have just happened with the 2, our teammate.
We can't do anything about it, but it'll make us feel better if we understand exactly what went wrong.
Maybe an isolated incident or something like that. You see, there's Mike Wallace continuing to work the high side. Jason White, gunbroker.com, Dodge in the middle of the racetrack.
I just was so impressed with Kevin Harvick and his decision after a championship season last year, racing for that championship all the way. Then he switched engine builders, and now he's back in the battle for a championship again. A great job by Pro Motor building those engines, but even more appreciative of the decision Kevin made to make the move.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really been pretty flawless this year, and we'll have to wait and see what went on with Jack Sprague's engine down there, but they have been terrific engines. You know, they've won 5 races with Ron Hornaday this season in the Truck Series, more wins than anyone else.
Look at that pack, and you know, it's very intense, but just think, Phil, one problem with the truck up in the front of this field, that you don't have time to react. Somebody has a flat tire, somebody's engine messes up a little bit, all of a sudden you run in the back of him. You remember last year somebody trying to get to pit road, Jack Sprague, I think, and he turned around right in the middle of the field. You can't predict how this thing will turn out right now.
So out in front, we've got Eric Darnell and Colin Brown, his teammates. That Toyota of Todd Bodine, who has gone to victory lane at this racetrack, running in the 3rd spot. Now remember, the 6th, driven by Mark Martin a year ago, went to victory lane, and now Todd Bodine following 2 years ago, and Todd Bodine following him. So obviously those 2 trucks have figured out this racetrack. Adam Alexander, what's going on with Todd Bodine?
He is crying help on the radio. He said simply he can do nothing with the guys in front of him, talking about the Fords of Eric Darnell and Colin Brown. And then he came back and asked, where's Mike Wallace? That would be his teammate for the race. And as you guys have documented multiple times, that 9 truck doing what he can to get to the front and join his teammate.
Right now, Mike Wallace is being shown back in the 22nd position. But again, that doesn't mean he's not running well, and he's made a lot of moves. He's tried a lot of things, and he's putting that bank of knowledge together so he knows what will work when it comes down to the end of this thing.
And that's what I like, you know, instead of just riding around on the bottom logging laps, there's some guys that it's good that they're doing that. Obviously, Darnell, Braun, Todd Bodine, they've got it made right now. But if I'm 10th, 11th, I'm going to get out and mix it up a little bit and figure out how I'm going to be able to make a move later on.
We're hearing that NASCAR is looking into, well, we might have a little debris on the racetrack there, but NASCAR is looking into one of the teams they believe doesn't have a side window, and that's one of the requirements when you come to a super speedway, that they have the passenger side window. And it sounds like they're looking at these trucks to make sure that all of them have the side windows, and now our second caution has come out.
Yeah, the debris we saw over there on the backstretch there, that's a piece of bodywork right there. Looks like off maybe one of the blue trucks, maybe Brendan Gaughan. We're getting a report that it's the 81 of Landon Castle. Look at the very back of this line right here, this back of this lead lap line.
Flew off here of the inside line.
You'd have to think maybe that resulted from, and hit by another truck. Knocked away. Is that Jack Sprague?
It was Jack Sprague.
Knocked way up in the air. You have to think that maybe that's a result of some bump drafting. Guys trying to push another guy along, broke his back bumper off.
So debris off of one of the race trucks.
It looked like maybe it might have been one of the circle bar trucks, was maybe Rick Crawford or Brendan Gaughan. There's Brendan's truck right there. We don't know if that was it. Now the 81 of Landon Castle also has some blue on it. There's the 59 right there.
We think it might be the 59 that lost the side window.
Okay, that's him up about 3 on the inside.
That wasn't a side window, but it was definitely something off of that truck. Now there's an oil cooler, not an oil cooler, but the oil tank is in the back behind. Is there a lid on there that potentially could have come off?
That looked like it was more rounded. Like there was.
It was a small square of sheet metal.
That looked like something that might have been a bumper cover.
I think the oil tank is underneath the back of that truck, the deck lid of that truck, but I don't know that was that piece.
These cats are all pitting, right?
I think so, Mike. We're talking about only being able to go about 35 laps, and remember we had pace laps on top of that, so I think they're coming.
And on the Cup side, during practice, tire wear is just minimal. Right. So maybe we'll see some guys just get gas and definitely just 2 tires.
Absolutely.
Track position is huge, and it could be determined on pit road now. We go to pit road and Chris Devoto.
Well, Kyle Busch said his truck is just a little bit too tight. He said he needs to turn better, especially through the tri-oval. His truck will not stay down. It's too sensitive in the corner. How will they fix it? 2 rounds out of the left rear. Adam.
Middle of your screen, Todd Bodine is in for his first stop of the day. Right side tires only. The call for Mike Hillman Jr. They want to maintain track position, no chassis adjustments. Ray Dunlap.
The Northern Tool and Equipment Ford will do right side tires only. They're going to get plenty of gas, pump it in there. Eric Darnell, the leader, he'll be the first one off of pit road, followed by his teammate Colin Braun.
We saw the 51 truck of Kyle Busch get 4 tires, and you wonder maybe if he wants to get 4 now, maybe he's looking at getting 2 later on in the race.
And be done with some tires for a while.
I think that was a side window that flew out of that 59 truck. Remember, these cabs are very small. We know the side windows in the cars are quite large, but that's a very, very small side window that are in these trucks.
So the crew is taking a look and working on that 59 of Landon Castle. I'm sure they'll get him back out on the racetrack. Eric Darnell, Colin Brown, and Todd Bodine, your top 3 off of pit road. Join Steve Burns, Michael Waltrip, and Greg Biffle on Monday for This Week in NASCAR. The game will recap Talladega and preview Charlotte. Plus, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 88 team are the focus of this week's Chase Profile. We'll take you behind the scenes for Junior's entire Talladega weekend. Ray Dunlap, what happened to the 33 coming off of pit road?
Apparently he went too fast exiting, and Ron Hornaday was saying that wasn't possible, but NASCAR said it was, so they decided to come back down pit road. Rick Wren called him down, and they went with left side tires. So now the 33 will have 4 fresh tires on it after that round of pit stops that started at lap 20. Krista?
Well, back here alongside pit road, actually behind the fence, the work being feverishly done on the 59, working on that right side window. They cannot just slide the window in. They actually have to rivet it to the frame. Joey Logano still inside the truck with his helmet on. The team said, this is our last one. Do not lose this window. Joey said, can I just drive without it? They said, no, come back.
Well, the window isn't the problem. You could just slide another window in, but part of his cab is blowed off, Phil.
Yeah, and that's really the part that holds the back of the window as well. So that's the whole reason that they're having to do all the modifications here. They have to get some paneling and put it to hold that in as we get ready to go back green.
Remember that free air that I was telling you about that made all this speed? That's how violent it is. Remember a year ago or a couple years ago we saw Skinner's whole hood blow off.
Yeah.
Now the cab is blown off the 59 truck. So that goes to show you what all going on out there that we can't even see.
1, 2, and 3 when they came off of the racetrack and onto pit road. Stayed 1, 2, and 3. Eric Darnell, Colin Brown, and Todd Bodine are still the top 3 running around Talladega.
You got to appreciate the crews. They held serve. Those guys came in with the lead and they sent them right back out with the lead. Some differing strategy. You see the 51 of Kyle Busch there for a second. He was already looking to the outside, trying to gain back some of that ground he lost by taking on 4 tires.
Exactly. Now Ron Hornaday also has 4 tires because of the pit road penalty, and we'll see how quickly he can make his way back towards the front. You guys, would you know that Ron Hornaday has led over 30% of all the laps run this season?
That's pretty amazing.
Over 30%.
And he's 1 point back in the points.
Who's the next closest guy in laps led to Ron Hornaday, would you think?
Johnny Benson?
Kyle Busch.
Oh, he hasn't even run all the races.
And he's led 15% of all the laps, and he wasn't even in part of those laps.
What percentage of laps has he led of the laps he's been in?
That I don't know.
Well, now we see the 59 of Joey Logano back on pit road. And so they will take a look at that and maybe do a little bit more work on the 59. Right.
Big vibration for the Northern Tool Ford. Eric Darnell said it's shaking all the way through the corner. And his crew chief, Matt Pucia, said, ride it out a little bit. Tell us what you think you've got. But could be a problem after that first round of pit stops. A vibration for the leader.
Boy, it makes you wonder if maybe they didn't get all the lug nuts tight. It's hard, it's hard to throw somebody under the bus. You see Johnny Benson making a move on the outside for the 4th spot.
It's got Jeff Green right in behind him. But Phil, these tires, the way they're balanced from set to set, you will get a different feel from your truck just by changing tires. So I would make sure, if I'm a crew chief, I'm going to say, look, it's crucial. It's the most important part of the job. We have to make sure we're able to tell our driver that the wheels are tight, because he's probably going to get a vibration. He's going to feel some shakes, and we need him to understand that there's no doubt the wheels are tight. Maybe the tires, as they gain air, the vibration, the balance will come in, the vibration will go away.
We've seen that 3rd line actually move a little bit quicker than the 2nd line. We just saw Kyle Busch make a move in the 3rd line and actually got in front of the 2nd line, but then that 2nd line seems to stall again.
Well, the bottom line's the fast way, the 2nd line's next fastest, and the 3rd would be the slowest. It's just a shorter distance around this racetrack. There's so much grip, Rick, that the shortest way you can go ultimately will be the fastest way. But circumstances will allow that outside groove to make ground on the inside. Say a guy bumps one of the inside trucks and gets them a little bit loose, and they're losing their momentum a little bit. In the meantime, the outside line has a perfect bump draft, and they're able to make ground. So that's why I think it's important to understand you can't just dedicate yourself to one line or other. You've got to be ready to use them all.
Ray Dunlap, what's happening with our 2nd and championship points contender?
Well, Hornaday restarted 26th after coming back down and getting those other tires. And they were talking on the radio asking what the 23 did. And Kevin Harvick, the team owner, came on the radio and he said, listen, guys, everybody take a deep breath here. Let's get focused on what we're doing. And I don't want to hear the number 23 on our radio again. Today, we're focused on the 33 and winning this race. Adam?
One driver in the field, Ray, that's all about history is Rick Crawford. He's an Alabama native, and he would love nothing more than to win here in his home state. And you got to like his chances from this standpoint. In the last 2 super speedway races, he's finished second, that a year ago here at Talladega, and 5th in the spring at Daytona, and he looks good riding in the top 5 here this afternoon. Krista?
The 18 of Dennis Setzer was running 18th before that round of pit stops. He is currently up to 7th. One of the reasons they took right side tires only. And when Logano's window flew off, it actually happened right in front of Dennis Setzer. But he is running very well. His best start ever at this track. And right now, he's running very well. Ray?
Let's talk about the number 6 truck at Colin Brown. They had a good pit stop there, but early in the race he said that his water temperature was up around 220, and right now that 6 truck is beginning to push a little bit of water out of the overflow. They're keeping their eye on it, but they are worried about it overheating here early on in this race.
Well, life is good for Eric Darnell. He's got a teammate behind him. He's got a clear track ahead of him. But for everyone else, there's things you have to consider. Tucked in, running in second in line. There the 99 started, excuse me, the 6 of Colin Brown saying, my motor's getting hot. He has to decide, how much does he peak out to get a little air in there? What does he do? How does he manage this situation? There's always something to consider.
See a little bump drafting right there. Mike Wallace gets in the back of Johnny Benson.
Those guys are making some ground. That's the top 5 they've closed in on.
So that second groove starting to move just a little bit. NASCAR's taking a peek in turns 3 and 4. There's been rumor that there might be some debris on the racetrack, but as to this point, we haven't seen the caution come out once again. And now we're hearing that the track has been cleared of all debris. At least they don't believe there's anything on the track. And we continue to go 2 and 3 wide around this 2.66 mile super speedway. Eric Darnell continues to lead. Welcome back to the Mountain Dew 250 presented on Speed by Toyota. Our aerial coverage is brought to you by Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride.
Battle for the lead, Rick. First one of the day.
Comfortable ride, not for Eric Darnell right now. Todd Bodine has decided to move up to that second line and see if he can challenge Eric Darnell.
Yeah, Todd moved out from his 3rd place spot, gets up side by side with Colin Brown for 2nd right now. He's got some help behind him. Got Johnny Benson behind him, Brian Scott, Brendan Gaughan, Chad McCumbee. Bunch of guys lined up behind him.
Absolutely the closest anyone has come to busting up those first couple of trucks, and the guy running 3rd was the one decided to do it. He is tired of looking at those 2.
2 Toyotas nose to tail on the outside line. That's Todd Bodine. And then the 23 of Johnny Benson. That's 16, also a Toyota this week, with Brian Scott behind the wheel. And now they're side by side as they come out of turn number 4. This is a battle for the lead.
Now will Johnny stay in Todd Bodine's tire tracks?
He has to. If those 2 trucks want to get, if he wants that any chance of the lead at all, he's got to stay right behind Todd Bodine.
So who's going to lead this lap? And that's Todd Bodine, it looks like.
Across the start-finish line, Todd Bodine leads it by a whopping 25 one-thousandths of a second.
The question is, what will Todd do if he ever clears the 99? Is he going to say, see you later, Johnny, I'm going to get down on the bottom?
And that's the kind of thing that you have to work with the people that have helped you. He needs to make sure that Johnny Benson is able to clear before he pulls down in front.
Those 2 are working well together now. Adam, what's going on with the 9 truck?
He was up to 7th in the running order after a 4-tire stop at lap 19, but unfortunately he had to drop out of the draft. And the reason why, water temperature trying to get a little bit up there. So they decided to get back in some clean air, not tuck in the draft, and hopefully they can cool down that racetrack.
There's Mike right there. He's on the inside, pulls up behind Mike Skinner in that 5 truck. Now he jumps back to the outside. That's Jeff Green and Curtis Keystruck. Now he's going to go in the middle. He's been on the inside, the outside, and in the middle in the space of about 3 football fields.
He's been all over the place all day. I've watched this truck go from challenging for the top 5 to dropping all the way to the end of this lead pack.
Now we certainly have 3 distinct lines right now. Eric Darnell leads the inside line. Todd Bodine leads the middle line. There's Kyle Busch right there in that 51 Miccosukee Toyota right in front of Mike Wallace. He's got speed over there, the Red Bull Toyota on the outside.
Todd Bodine was able to get the lead. But a guy that I'm finding fun to watch, let's take a ride a lap with Mike Wallace, Phil. See where all he goes. Right now he's following Kyle Busch. Look at Kyle making a big run to the outside. Let's listen to his throttle.
You got the 59 in the middle with you, 88's on top of you with
hear him on and off the gas?
He's adjusting his throttle to keep that gap the same between that 08 truck. He'll get a little bit behind, and he'll squeeze a little bit more throttle to it. He gets too close, he has to squeeze out of the throttle.
And he's looking for that big run. He's looking for a chance to make a huge move, and that's why he's leaving that gap between he and the 08.
There's 81 of Landon Castle, the National Guard Chevy on the inside. Side by side now for third. Todd Bodine in the middle of the racetrack. The 09 of John West Townley on the inside.
Exactly what we expected for Talladega Superspeedway in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Race number 20 for the Truck Series. We've got a 1-point difference between Johnny Benson and Ron Hornaday in our championship point standings. And right now there are 33 trucks and a little contact there. Todd Bodine ducked down and there was no room for him. So a little bit of contact on the racetrack. We've expected this and we haven't had any problems up to this point. Ray Dunlap, what's happening with the 33?
Well, he's in the back of the pack right there, Rick, and he's not very happy about it. He talked to his spotter, Rick Corelli, and said, do whatever you can to get me away from Mike Wallace. He said that guy has changed lanes 6 times in the last 4 laps, and eventually that's going to cause a problem. So he's asking Corelli for a little bit of help. But now Hornaday down on the inside going by Logano, right behind Mike Wallace. He wants away from the 9.
Well, he's right behind him right now, Ray. It's going to be hard to get away from him when he's right behind him.
And I can't argue with Ron. He has changed 6 lanes in 1 lap.
Well, we saw him change lanes 3 times in one trial.
We were watching and riding along with Mike Wallace, listening to that throttle and the throttle control that he has.
But you can't get away from anybody. I mean, that's why they're all globbed together. There is nowhere to hide.
There's Mike Skinner, the 5 left of your screen. There's Terry Cook, the 60, right behind Mike Skinner. They're on the bottom of the racetrack. Johnny Benson still leads that outside line. He has Brendan Gaughan with him, but right now Johnny's running in about the 9th spot.
Eric Darnell has been dominant, and only 2 times did Darnell not lead the laps.
There was almost a big crash on the back straightaway, and it involved Johnny Benson. It looked like
some bump drafting, maybe.
I think Todd was trying to get out of line, and Johnny was going to bump draft him all at the same time. Let's see if we can pick it up.
Look right at your screen. There's Todd Bodine right there. That's his onboard. Lumber Liquidators onboard. Oh, and he made pretty good contact with John West Townley, but that was precipitated by something. Probably maybe a bump draft or something by Johnny, as you mentioned, as he was maybe moving around. If you're going to bump draft these trucks, you better be going straight.
Yeah, and you know, as Johnny Benson has to understand exactly what Todd's doing at the moment when he wants to hit him. Todd decided he might want to duck low a little bit. Johnny bump drafted him and almost caused a crash.
How about John West Townley, this 18-year-old who's stuck in the draft running 190 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, wham, he gets hit on the outside. Hey, what are you doing?
He's watched this enough on TV to know that that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's see if we can see here, Phil. Off turn 2, these guys are dicing around, and it looks like Todd decides to close the door on Johnny, and Johnny had a run on him, and it was close.
Yeah, that could have been big. Now, that would have probably involved 10 or 15 trucks more than likely, because it was right in the middle of this pack.
Well, it's exactly what we thought was going to happen when you come to Talladega Superspeedway. The big packs running around the racetrack. It has been dominant. Eric Darnell out in front. He has led 60% of the laps on all of our Superspeedway races this year, both Daytona and Talladega. 2-3 wide here at Talladega, and it's going to continue. 55 laps to go.
Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by True Value, with the tools, products, and advice to start your project right. True Value. Start right. Start here. By Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Visit Zaxby's.com to find a location near you. And by the new Touch of Gray that lets you keep some gray hair. Touch of Gray for the generation that swore it would never get old.
I think that's the generation I'm in. I'm never going to get old.
You know who did get old? Keith D'Alessandro.
He did get old. He got actually a year older today.
What had been the people's producer is now America's producer as he's turned 40 years old.
Self-proclaimed.
And I think he uses that touch of gray.
No, he doesn't.
No?
It would be a waste of money for him.
I use it. I love that stuff.
2 and 3 wide, continuing here at Talladega Superspeedway. Nobody really has anything for Eric Darnell. He and his teammate have been running 1 and 2 pretty much the whole race. At one point in time, Todd Bodine got up there and led a lap but then that was it. Chris Devoto.
We talked about how this was Joey Logano's first race at Talladega, also the first truck race at Talladega for Landon Cassill. Now, he does have 6 truck starts already this year, but his first time at this track, he said the most important thing for me is to keep the truck in one piece, maybe go for a few extra positions at the end. He may be a new kid on the block, but right now Landon Cassill is certainly hanging tough. Ray?
John Andretti running in the top 15 in that number 15 truck. They did right side tires only on lap number 20. Now, we've been listening to the guys up front, and they're saying they'll be to pit road in 4 or 5 laps. Looking around lap number 50, I believe it is, they'll be coming to pit road.
He's got that truck up to the 6th spot, Ray.
And we just saw him get down almost onto the apron with the left front of that truck, and the sparks were flying out.
Yeah, and also Landon Cassill. There isn't anyone going to get under Landon. He's able to keep that thing really low on the racetrack.
And again, there is an out of bounds here at Talladega. You cannot improve your position by going below the yellow line. So they have to stay above the yellow line at all times, especially when they're racing, but they cannot improve their position by going below the yellow line.
Ron Hornaday right now being shown in the 22nd position. You see him right behind the 5 of Mike Skinner. High position of 4th in this race, and way back here when he had the pit road penalty for speeding. Boy, but still in the fight here in this lead pack. Mike Wallace right now is trying to make some ground up on the outside of the racetrack. He has moved up into the top 10, right now being shown in the 6th spot, side by side with John Andretti right now for that 6th position.
You know, we just passed halfway, Phil, and as tight and as intense as this action is right now, this isn't anything as to what it's going to be like with 10 to go. These guys are using a little bit of patience. They're giving each other a little bit of room. All that's going to go out the window. They're going to start trying to bump each other, use the sides of their truck to slow down the inside line, and the intensity is going to pick up. You see Johnny Benson there jumping to the outside of Mike Wallace, trying to gain a spot right there now.
We see 2 and 3 wide continuing. Now, I've got to pose the question, as you see the halfway point being displayed to the drivers. We're closing in on probably the next 8 laps, maybe. Everyone is going to have to come onto pit road for fuel. We've never had a green flag pit stop at Talladega up to this point. Is that going to be a big factor here at the Speedway?
It's going to be a huge challenge, Rick, because you know where you need to be in order to come to pit road, right where these guys are racing. Right. The spotters are going to be key. There's going to have to be a lot of communication. The drivers are going to have to get those hands out the window and start waving. And when you haven't done this before, it'll be a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very difficult. I'm sorry, very difficult for the guys behind you to see. So that's why the spotters are even more important here, to let the guys know behind you, let their spotters know, so they can relay that to the driver that, hey, I'm coming down pit road next time. Don't run in the back of me. We've seen that happen before. We saw it at Daytona. Eric Darnell probably had the best truck at Daytona, was trying to make his way to pit road, got hit from behind.
That's what happened to Jack Sprague last year when he turned around in front of the field. He was trying to get to pit road. It'll be a challenge.
Ray Dunlap, what's the word on fuel?
Well, they're at lap 48 right now. When they go by the start-finish line next time, all the 3 Roush trucks will get in position to come down pit road on lap 50. The good news is they're able to communicate with each other. They've talked to all 3 crew chiefs. They've talked to all 3 drivers and told them get ready. Crew members getting ready to get up on the wall right now. So those 3 trucks will be able to exit the speedway all together coming down pit road in unison.
I still don't like it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really difficult for these guys to make this green flag pit stop without somebody running into somebody.
And remember, you talked about the youth up front now. A lot of these guys haven't made all that many green flag pit stops. Now, Eric Darnell has been here in the series for a while. He's made a few, but some of these guys, Colin Brown, may not have ever made a green flag pit stop.
You know, and if I'm Eric Darnell right now, I'm saying, thank you, Jack Roush. I really appreciate this truck you've given me. I've got it on the mat, and it's faster than everybody else, and I've got the lead.
And maybe a little bit of Mike Beam as well. It's a little piece of something on the racetrack right there. May have been a spring rubber, may have been something else, but we definitely saw a little bit of piece of something there. There comes David Starr. Yeah, new sponsor on board that truck. That's great to see.
I think it's going to be on there the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, that's terrific news for that Red Horse Racing team. Good-looking truck, too.
Zachary's a company that focuses on planning, building, and renewing
Here they come.
There
it is. There it is, right there.
Right there. The 09 of John West Townley gets turned around. He's sideways, but he still hasn't hit anything.
It all worked out for John West Townley. Todd Bodine got into the back of John West, and you talked about it, Phil. Inexperience and experience. Todd thought John West would get in there a little hotter. John slowed down because the truck in front of him slowed down, and Todd hit him from behind.
Adam Alexander.
Right side tires only for Todd Bodine. The same strategy that played out when they pitted under caution at lap 19. He pulls away. Rick Crawford on the pit lane as well in front of him. Ray.
It'll be a 4-tire stop for Eric Darnell. They believe if they get the tires on this time, he'll be good to go the rest of the race. And they see the 6 truck doing the same thing. They're putting on 4 tires. Todd Bodine will be out just a little bit ahead of the 99, but remember, he's got 4 tires and good to go. Krista?
The 88, Matt Crafton, also planning to come in. The 88 said that his car is just a little bit, his truck just a little bit dicey. The 88 will come in for 4 tires.
A 59 in front of the pack, but remember Joey Logano a couple laps down because of the window problem that they had, and then the B post that came apart on that truck, and you see the 88 now on pit road.
Okay, that 10 truck right there behind Joey Logano is Brendan Gaughan, and he has inherited the lead of this race. As you can see, the guys on the inside of the racetrack that have just left pit road.
And this still isn't over, Phil. There still has to be some precision driving going on to get this glob of trucks here to pit road without causing an accident. And Ron Hornaday, Johnny Benson, our point leaders are in this glob.
Johnny Benson, Ron Hornaday separated by just 8 points right now in the points chase.
And one of our veterans, Rick Crawford, made his way down pit road as we see more guys coming too fast exiting. The 14 truck will have to make a pass-through penalty.
Very good job by that group of, what, 8 or 10 trucks, all trying to get to that white line, going from running in excess of 190 miles an hour down to 55.
That's the amazing thing. They're hitting the brakes maybe for the first time here in this race when they have to come onto pit road after going 190 miles an hour, right?
2 tires and fuel for Johnny Benson. They believe they can get a little bit quicker time than some of these other trucks. The Roush trucks on pit road getting 4. They want to go with 2. Plenty of fuel getting pumped in. We also see the 5 of Mike Skinner on pit road. Those guys are going to go with right side tires. Johnny Benson needing lots of fuel, and guys, I'm not so sure they couldn't have got 4 tires.
Took a long time to fill that truck full of fuel. Brendan Gaughan came out just in front of the 23. We're seeing a few more trucks making their way onto pit road now, one of them being the 51. Looks like Kyle Busch has come in. Also Ron Hornaday in the 33 coming down pit road. Krista.
Kyle Busch talking on the radio, wondering who took 2, who took 4. A change for Matt Crafton. The 88 took 2, but Kyle's plan, he and Richie Waters, to take 4 tires. That's the plan for the 51.
Camping World Chevrolet is in for Ron Hornaday, but he had to slow down a great deal in order not to hit Brian Silas as he was exiting the pits. They get the right side tires on for Hornaday, packing that thing full of fuel. Only 2 tires here, but again, you've got to wait, and they have a little bit of problem making sure that the fuel can connected.
Now we're hearing the 60 and the 11. Both are going to have to do pass-through penalties too fast on pit road. And at what point in time do we see the freight train just drive by these teams that are coming off where they don't have drafting help?
Well, but I think it'll all come back together, don't you, Phil?
I do, absolutely.
I don't think it'll. I bet you in 10 laps from now it'll look like the same race we saw before they all came to pit road.
We just saw that train. They're passing the 33 of Hornaday, the 13 of Shelby Howard, the 51 of Kyle Busch. Kyle's already in that lead draft. He was fast. It looked like they were running 30 miles an hour faster than him, and he's already back in the draft.
This is a little, now that the pit stops are over and everybody got on and off pit road fairly safely, except for JWT, these guys now are getting a break. They're going to breathe a little bit and know they got a few laps before the storm all comes back together, but it will come back together.
And how about this? Moving to the outside, there's the 10 of Brendan Gaughan. Kicking out there, the 60 and 11 both going through their pass-through penalties right now. The 14 has already done his.
One nice thing about this racetrack, you see the yellow line obviously above that the racetrack, but that lane below that yellow line is banked fairly significantly. You can leave pit road once you get to the end speed line, hammer that thing and run wide open all the way till you get to the second corner where you can blend in with the field.
You know, we talked about these guys trying to get on the pit road and went fairly calm. But
almost uneventful.
We had a guy, John West Townley, 18 years old, trying to do this for probably the first time. Another guy, Todd Bodine's done it his whole life. And when they, I mean, he's been doing this forever. They couldn't work it out. Let's watch him when they come to pit road. Slowing down. John West gets on the brakes, but Todd didn't.
Yeah, really, John West, if he goes any farther forward, he runs into the 6 of Colin Brown, so he's pretty much innocent there. Todd didn't really anticipate the speed quite enough, and he actually ran in the back of John West.
So the kid did a good job, and the veteran ran him over.
How do you figure?
And in this situation, I mean, Todd Bodine, a veteran, probably wants to go to that yellow line as fast as he can.
Well, so does John West, but he's got trucks in front of him.
Yeah, but I mean, right there, Eric Darnell, he's able to pass him. He's trying to pass guys before he even gets to pit road.
Look how close John West is to the 6 of Colin Brown, and there he gets turned around. Yeah. Very fortunate he didn't get turned up into the racetrack.
Well, we've seen that before. My point is, Rick, you can always run into somebody. That's easy.
Right.
What you're supposed to do is get there as fast as you can without running somebody over, and Todd didn't pull that off.
Exactly. Todd was trying to turn left. He caught the bumper of John West Townley. It turned him around, but John West Townley didn't hit anything. We stayed green, so we have gone through a cycle of green flag pit stops, and after we have cycled through, Dennis Setzer has led, John Andretti has led, and now we see the 15 of John Andretti slowing and on to pit road.
We're getting a report that the 60 of Terry Cook that was doing his penalty pass-through was too fast entering and exiting, so we have yet another penalty, Ray.
And also the 15 of John Andretti coming down pit road. He was out of fuel, so they pushed it 1 or 2 laps too many for him. And remember, whenever he came in last time was lap 20, so they may have pushed the envelope just a little bit on fuel.
Look at this guy. He's not going to get slowed down enough, is he?
There's no way.
No, now he's in the grass. He has to be speeding coming in.
Now, why would Setzer do that? That looked unusual. He just dove in there and drove right past the speed line.
Chris Kubota.
Yeah, I saw it happen, Michael. He did not say anything on the radio. He went right through the infield grass. The plan was to take 4 tires. They changed it to left side only. He said his car, he did say right before he came in, his truck was snappy loose. That could have been the problem.
I thought maybe he had just noticed his fuel pressure had gone down. Maybe he was running out of gas and decided he had to get to pit road.
Exactly. Knew that he wouldn't be able to make it another lap. If that's the case, then that's a good move.
Right, but if it isn't, it was a little bit hard to figure out his thinking trying to get Woe down that fast.
Terry Cook coming off of pit road now, that number 60.
With his second pass-through penalty since his pit stop.
And here comes the freight train. Take a look at this. Todd Bodine leading that group.
You know, if you're too fast entering and you come through for a pass-through and you get a pass-through for that pass-through, I don't know if there's enough Aaron's Lucky Dogs to bail you out of that situation. Do you, Rick?
You might as well speed. Like Dennis Setzer, we saw him, and sure enough, he was too fast entering the pits. Why not just blast your way out of there? It's only going to be 1 pass-through penalty.
Ooh, I like that, Phil.
You know, Aaron's is very generous. They do give away free passes a lot of the times, but
it's going to be a stretch for them to do anything for that 60 truck today. I mean, they're going to have to really work overtime to try to pull that off.
And we may not see any more caution flags either. Well, there's no guarantee of that.
I think we are going to see another caution flag. I'm not so sure that it won't be within the last 10 laps, however, and Aaron's doesn't give away Lucky Dogs when there's 10 or less to go. Watch Setzer here. What's this all about, Phil?
Like you said, if it wasn't a deal where he was running out of gas, then Houdini couldn't have got that truck rolled enough to get to pit road and be at the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
And it didn't appear he was out of gas. They put 4 tires on. He drove off. There wasn't a delay, so must have not had the type of braking package on him that he thought he had.
The green flag pit stops have given us 8 lead changes that have taken place. 6 different drivers have been out in front for at least a lap, but the one who's led the most, the 99, has led 48 laps, and he runs second. It's time to test your Truck Series knowledge with the Aaron's Lucky Guess trivia question. Who is the youngest winner in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series history, and how old was he when he won? That is the question. We will fire that answer at you in just a moment.
Hey, I got some Aaron's love. Anybody out there, you guys want some free gas?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go to Aaron's and make any qualified purchase or lease between now and October 31st, and you will receive $600 in free gas from the company of your choice. If it has gas there, you can get it.
You're talking about Charlotte.
You're talking about the Southeast,
yeah,
obviously.
The Southeast has struggled a little bit with the fuel.
You go to shopaarons.com for more details, but Aaron's is all in. We're giving away free gas, darn it.
That was easy. Why didn't they give you a phone number? Because that's what I normally struggle with.
Well, I like this shopaarons.com.
We're going to stick to the internet, right? Not the phone.
We will we'll let you think about that. Youngest driver to ever win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and how old was he?
That's an interesting question. How long ago they put the 18-year-old rule in?
Well, actually, we're riding along with a kid who was involved in the Truck Series prior to that rule.
Him being 18.
Exactly.
Did he win then?
Well, you're going to have to think about that.
He did not. He was actually in California for a race when they changed that rule and took him out of that truck and was not even able to start that race he'd already practiced for because he was not yet 18 years old.
Ray Dunlap, what's happening with that Northern Tool and Equipment Ford?
Well, Rick, I just wanted to clarify a little bit on that last round of pit stops. I said that the Roush trucks that took 4 tires were good to go. What I meant by that was not that they've got enough fuel to make it to the end, but that allows them a lot of options. When they come in for their final pit stop, that makes Matt Pusha in position to either take 2 tires, no tires. They obviously don't need to take 4, and a lot of these other guys have taken right side tires only on this round of pit stops. So that's what he was saying when he said we'll be good to go. Not that they're not going to have to pit again, but that they'll have options.
Well, you got to just get enough gas to get to the finish, and no tires. I don't want any tires. I'm thinking I want that track position. Just shoot me enough gas in to get to the finish and leave my tires alone.
Yeah, most of these guys started pitting on lap number 50, and then the majority of the guys had pitted between 50 and 53. We saw the 15 of John Andretti push it all the way to lap 57, actually ran out of fuel. He is still on the lead lap now, but 34 seconds behind, almost 35 seconds behind. So I think we know that everyone is going to have to stop, with a possible exception of John Andretti. It's not going to do him any good if he's out there running by himself and he gets lapped by this field, but he may be able to make the rest away. But I'm like you, Mikey. If I need 2 seconds of fuel, that's all I want. Don't worry about my tires.
Hey, guys, let's talk a little bit about this outside line. It's starting to move now.
Well, and then you know who's heading it up. One of those Fords that qualified right up front. We talked about how important it was to have a fast truck. The draft would be the equalizer. But if you put them out there and you get behind one of those fast trucks with the draft, he's going to pull you along a little bit faster than the guys on the inside, I believe.
Did you see that? He dropped back to the 23rd position, and now he's got the lead back.
Here was that question we posed earlier. What do you do when you get past the inside line? Do you hang the guys out that are behind you? And that's exactly what Colin Brown just did. He moved to the inside line, and he's hung out the guys in the second line.
Self-preservation. He don't need those people. You know, you want to work with guys that you think you're going to need all day.
Oh, problems right there. Jack Sprague into the wall hard.
Looked like he got run into from behind. Made pretty hard contact with the outside wall.
He's already having a bad day. He was 2 laps off the pace.
You can see the right front tire not even just barely moving occasionally. A lot of damage to that American Commercial Lines Chevrolet.
But, you know, going back to that, the Colin Brown taking the lead, he had Chad McCumbee pushing him. He's had one of the fastest trucks all day long. He can say, see you later, Chad. Thanks for the push, but I don't need you anymore. I've got a fast truck. I can win this race without you. You saw Johnny Benson and Todd Bodine trying to continue to work together, hanging on that outside together, trying to get there. They need each other.
Jack Sprague, look at the smoke inside the cab of that truck. That's got to be hard to see right now.
See, we saw a little bit of fire there under that truck.
Let's take another
moments ago.
Let's look again at what happened here with Jack Sprague.
See Jack right there. There's a 51 of Kyle Busch. Look for a little contact. Kyle moves to the inside. Jack comes down actually on Kyle, and it swings him out towards the outside wall.
That was strange looking, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything on Kyle Busch for that.
No. And I don't know what happened with Jack. It looked like maybe he went to go low and noticed there was another truck there and
turned back on his own.
Turned back on his own a little bit, maybe made contact at exactly that same time, and it just shot him to the outside. Is that what happens, Phil?
There's another view. You see him turning. It looks like exactly right. Once he realized that the 51 of Kyle was there, it's almost like he turned that wheel just to the right to pull away from him, and they had made slight contact right then and just sent him hard right.
Shot him up the racetrack. Here comes the field once again onto pit road. Krista.
Matt Crafton coming in. He was so close to the win in our last race in Las Vegas. He's running up front again. They last pitted on lap 51 by themselves. They took left sides then. They'll take right sides now. And there goes Matt Crafton. Adam.
Fuel only for Todd Bodine. They said get 6 seconds worth, a little tape on the nose, and Bodine is away. Ray Dunlap.
It'll be the same thing for Colin Brown and for Eric Darnell. Both of the Roush trucks getting 5 seconds worth of fuel. Brown will be the first one off pit road, and he's got the 16 right with him. What a run for Brian Scott.
The rest of the field coming off of pit road. Now, we saw Eric Darnell not coming off of pit road in the lead, so we're going to see if those Roush trucks can make their way back up to the front, because Eric Darnell has been dominant, really, until they made the green flag pit stops.
Well, his partner Colin Brown had been equally as dominant, riding along right behind him, and he proved how strong he was. He just drove around the outside and got the lead.
Here's why we're under caution. Kyle Busch moves to the inside. Jack Sprague doesn't see him, shoots right up the racetrack and hard into the wall right before the trioval. We'll be back with more from Talladega after this.
You know, I've been using Craftsman tools for nearly 20 years now, and what continues to amaze me is they just keep making them better and better. Like this new Vibra-Free 12-amp reciprocating saw. Now this saw has 4 different settings on it, from 0 over to 3. Now at 0, that means there's no orbiting action of the saw blade. But when you come over here to number 3, it gives you a really, really strong cut. Now in the olden days, your saw would have shook around so much and vibrated, and you lose all of your energy because it's not going right into the wood. But with this saw, it's 56% less vibration. Doesn't get much better than a Craftsman reciprocating saw.
Who was the youngest winner in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series history, and how old was he? Michael, you want to try?
I'm going to say Kyle Busch, even though he was more than 18 though, right?
Yeah, you're right on it. You want to tell me how old he was, Phil?
He was 20 years old, a little bit over 20 years old.
Just a couple days over.
18 days.
And actually, you'll know this one. Whose record did he break for the youngest driver to win a race? It was Kansas.
Ricky Hendrick.
That's exactly right.
And then, isn't there like 4 guys that could break that record today?
There are 4 guys. Hey, take a look at this. Mike Skinner on pit road. Looks like they're doing some work to the right front of this truck.
Where'd that damage come from?
A little bit of damage to the right front for Mike Skinner, and so he's on pit road. They're making some adjustments and corrections to that truck, Krista.
Yeah, and as we understand down here on pit road, Landon Castle was involved in that. As Landon Castle exited pit road, made contact with the 5. You're seeing a tire in his pit stop where you can see the tire rub there. They had come back in. They didn't want to take a chance on the damage, so they came back in, put 4 fresh tires on it. Landon Castle, though, the 81 contact with the 5.
There you have it, the 81 and the 5 making some contact. Our Aaron's Lucky Dog goes to David Starr with that new sponsor on the hood for him and the rest of this season. We'll be right back to the green flag. Speed and Martinsville Speedway have a great deal for you. For $79, you get a ticket to the Sprint Cup race on October 19th and a general admission ticket to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race the day before for free. Also, you receive an exclusive question and answer dinner with Speed personalities in Martinsville Hospitality Chalet following the Kroger 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. All you have to do, call 1-877-RACE-TICKS and ask for the Speed offer. Michael Waltrip will be there, Phil Parsons, Adam Alexander, Ray Dunlap, Krista Voda. Fire the questions at them. They hopefully will have the correct answers. Our aerial coverage is brought to you by Goodyear. Get there on Silent Armor technology with the strength of Kevlar for toughness and a comfortable ride. Spectacular action up to this point at Talladega Superspeedway. We're expecting the same for the final 22 laps here at Talladega Superspeedway. Will a young man find victory lane? We're about to find out. October 16th on Speed for the first time. Barrett Jackson, the world's greatest collector car event, is live from Las Vegas. From the most exotic sports cars to one-of-a-kind prototypes, from celebrity rides to timeless classics, all will cross the block to the highest bidder. Barrett Jackson begins October 16th, 7 Eastern, live from Sin City and only on Speed. Take a look. Those 5 of Mike Skinner back on pit road.
So critical for that aerodynamics of that right front corner of that truck. You see them working with a lot of that barrel bomb, but remember Right now, what happened to him coming off pit road? Watch him now. He's going to pull out of his pit. Right top of your screen, very top of your screen. Actually spins the tires a little bit and then makes contact with Landon Castle, and that's what damaged the right front corner of that car.
That's another experienced driver having problems and running into a kid, and the kid's thinking, what'd I do? I'm leaving the pit. Skinner's truck got loose on him when he put the gas down, got sideways, and he wasn't able to keep it off of Landon Castle. Caused Skinner a lot of damage. I don't think that's there is enough to hurt anything, Phil.
I don't think so either.
We talk about experienced drivers. One of them is out of this race now and standing by with Adam Alexander.
Amazing season for Jack Sprague continues. I'm not sure what else can go wrong. Jack, what happened on track that put you out here?
Well, Ernie and the guys gave me a great truck. I don't know where we were at the beginning there, up there on the outside, about 6th, 7th, and something happened, lost a cylinder. The motor just quit, and then it came back on, and it kept sputtering, and I was down a cylinder, and that kind of put us back down a lap or two, and I get up there in the middle of the draft, and I could hang on, even though it was missing, and I don't know. Apparently Kyle was under me and I didn't get the word. I had no clue, but I hate it for these guys. It's been an absolutely horrible year, and we had another good shot at, a good, somewhat of a chance to win and a good shot at a great finish, and until it started sputtering. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
Tough luck for Jack Sprague continues. Another disappointment here at Talladega.
Adam, let's talk a little bit about the big picture. We're under caution here, but as we get ready to go back to green, how about where Ron Hornaday stands? All the way up to 11th right now. Remember, he was back in 26th whenever they had that pit road speeding penalty, and he and Johnny Benson right beside each other on the racetrack. And when they came into pits last time, Hornaday put on left side tires, Benson put on rights, and they're ready to go the distance. But the points championship just couldn't get much closer here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And these guys ready to go, but they'll restart on the racetrack right beside each other. Should be fun to watch these two as they continue to battle through the final laps here at Talladega.
And again, coming into this race, 1 point separated Johnny Benson and Ron Hornaday. Benson is your point leader, and he still holds on to that lead, but now that lead has increased to, well, about 5 points. So still the tightest points battle in NASCAR. Mountain Dew 250 presented on speed by Toyota. Continuing from Talladega Super Speedway. We're inside of 20 laps remaining in this race. A 94-lap race, 250 miles. And it's been action-packed here on this 2.66-mile super speedway. And what a change it's going to be in 2 weeks when we go to Martinsville.
Well, it's only about a fifth as large as this racetrack, but you're going to see beating and banging. We saw Johnny Benson running second in the spring. Looked like he was going to finish second. Last corner, got bumped from behind, ended up finishing back in 25th. Look what that would have done if we'd have got all those points then. But, hey, remember, guys, we've got Dennis Setzer up front. John Andretti coming off that great run 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas when he finished in the 4th spot. These guys both were two of the most recent trucks on pit road under green. They stayed out for track position.
But I don't think they can hold off those Fords. Colin Brown laying there in 3rd spot. We saw the speed he had. Brian Scott 4th. Scott Speed 5th. Eric Darnell 6th. Those are fast trucks. It'll be interesting to see how long Setzer and Andretti can hold that 1st and 2nd spot. I don't think long.
Adam Alexander, you've got another driver you think might be in the hunt.
Brendan Gaughan restarts 12th rather, and he got left side tires on that last pit stop. They feel good, and he's got some added help. Rick Crawford, who lost the engine, his teammate, an Alabama native, said, I'm not going to the house, I'm going to the pit box. He can't win today, but he'd love to help his teammate, Brendan Gaughan, to victory lane. Krista?
If you've been following Matt Crafton today, just a quick update for you. They had to come back in during the series of pit stops on lap 69. They had to fix the right side window. We saw Joey Logano have trouble earlier in the race. They were losing a brace, so they fixed the window. They went ahead and put left side tires on as well.
There's Matt Crafton in that Menard Chevrolet.
21 trucks right now on the lead lap, and I would dare say that any one of those 21 trucks could win this race. We've seen the strength. You just talked about it a few moments ago with the Fords, especially up front. We'll see if somebody can do something with them.
Well, they're going to start out next week at a couple weeks at Martinsville running into each other on purpose. Watch how the intensity picks up here. They're going to start running into each other here on purpose late in the going to Talladega, I bet you.
Green flag in the air. It is Dennis Setzer, and you see the plume of smoke going back there. That's the speedy dry they put on the racetrack that's getting blown off now by these race trucks. Dennis Setzer down to the bottom of the racetrack. John Andretti's right behind him. Here comes Colin Brown in the 6 on the outside.
Colin Brown has the 16 of Brian Scott behind him, 22 of Scott Speed, the 99 of Eric Darnell. They're side by side, 2 by 2.
You can see John Andretti's doing all he can do with Dennis Setzer, pushing that truck down the back straightaway. Setzer had his hands full, but it worked. He's able to hold serve against Brown on the outside.
How about the 2 young guys on the outside? 2 20-year-olds on the outside of that line on the inside of the 2 veterans, Dennis Setzer and John Andretti.
And guess what? Ron Hornaday right now has the 9 of Mike Wallace behind him. Remember, that's the guy he didn't want to be around. Now Todd pulled out there, and they've got a little run. Look how far back Eric Darnell's going.
He's going to drop back. He's stuck in the middle, and no one's helping him out, and so he'll drop back. We fall back into 2 lines up front, 3 wide behind him. We got a little smoke coming out of the 21 of John Wood, it looks like.
That's speedy dry. Speed Zorb down there there was a lot of Speed Zorb put down from the 2 of Jack Sprague.
Look at Setzer trying to hang on to that truck. Andretti's doing all he can do to help him. But that's how crazy it gets late in the going. They're pushing on each other, Phil.
Yeah, everyone else fighting back in the middle. There's Hornaday and Mike Wallace out on the outside.
3 and 4 wide as they come out of turn number 4.
This is the perfect storm for a fan to sit in the stands and watch, because the trucks on the bottom aren't as fast as the trucks on the outside, so they're not able to just take that inside lane and drive away with it. In fact, Colin Brown now is taking the lead.
He did it again. He moved to the inside line. Let's see if he stays down there. He is going to go down there and run on that inside line, and so he's hung that 16 out once again.
He said, thanks, Brian. I appreciate the help, but I'm going to try to go win this race on the bottom.
He's trying to explain to them how good he is, but these guys in the middle lane are going to make a move on him.
I'll tell you what,
drafting there.
They're fighting back now. Here comes that Albertsons Toyota Tundra of Brian Scott moving to the outside, trying to lead this race at Talladega.
Huge push from Kyle Busch, got Brian Scott all the way up beside Colin Brown.
Adam Alexander, have you heard him breathe yet?
He's been very quiet on the radio, and the crew has as well. And you know, what's interesting about his run here today is the fact that if you look at his season, only 2 top 10s, but one of them came earlier in the year at Daytona. This kid understands the draft, and he's proving it in the late going here today. But look at Kyle Busch, the veteran on the outside.
He had the lead when they crossed the start-finish line. It is 3 wide for the lead.
This isn't going to work. They can't keep this up.
All the way around the racetrack, 3 distinct lines, and Kyle Busch got a little bit loose there. A big shove by the truck behind him.
All these trucks are pushing each other, trying to get the advantage. The guys on the outside, just let me push you, just let me get you a little bit up front.
Look at this shot from the Goodyear blimp. What an amazing scene this is as they work their way through 3 and 4.
Eric Darnell's the fastest truck here. He's proven that today. He's right behind Kyle Busch on the outside. He's going to make it 4 wide.
Oh, he does make it 4 wide. Kyle Busch is hung out 4 wide when they cross the start-finish line. Who is your race leader? Well, the computer says it's Brian Scott that led that lap by 39 1/1000ths of a second.
I'm not going to say this again. This won't work. They can't continue to do this for the rest of this race. There's going to be a big crash. Someone will push someone too hard, get them sideways, and set off a chain reaction. I promise it's got to happen.
And it's going to be from the bump drafting. That's probably what's going to cause it. Look at Kyle Busch go for the lead.
Kyle Busch and Todd Bodine made a huge run there, and they are out in front now.
Look at Mike Wallace, loses his momentum, tucks down to the inside.
How about Ron Hornaday? In that 33, he's made his way up into the 3rd spot now.
And his tongue is hanging out. I guarantee he's like, well, how did I get here? Where am I at? And where'd I come from?
You mentioned it. They couldn't hang on that much longer at that pace, and now we've broken into a long line on the inside. The second line trying to catch up once again.
It's going to happen. Those Fords will be able to push that second line up to that leader. The Toyota of Kyle Busch just isn't as fast, Phil, and he's down on the bottom. So a Ford will be able to group up another line and come get him.
You got Colin Brown right now running in the 3rd spot. He maybe would be able to pull out in that line.
Looks like
get around that 30. Looks like he thought about it.
Matt Crafton ducks to the outside back there in the back of the pack. Here's 3 wide. Eric Darnell on the outside. Johnny Benson on the inside of that line. And there's the 81 of Landon Castle right in the middle.
Yeah, Johnny Benson came by that last time in the 14th position. He's got Hornaday up in 3rd right now. He's got to keep his eye on that.
Eric Darnell needs help. He's on the outside, and he's got nobody behind him. He's got a strong truck, but if he doesn't have somebody to work with, he's not going to be able to get to the front.
Remember, he was on the third line. He made it 4 wide for just a moment. Almost looked like he was dead, even with those guys at the start-finish line. That last lap, he came by 18th.
Yeah, that just wasn't a good move. He didn't have the momentum to make it 4 wide, and he just tried to jump out there, probably just thinking, I'm Superman. I'm 3 wide. I'm going to be 4 wide.
I had the pole. I know I've got a fast truck, but it didn't work. That air is so tricky.
And right now, it is the 51 of Kyle Busch looking to add another win to his amazing season.
Another one of those fast forwards right there, Phil. John West Townley right behind Brian Scott trying to make that second lane.
Yeah, it looked like that 16 of Brian Scott was holding up John West over there at the other end of the racetrack.
And John West is a little bit dicey there, trying to figure out how to push that truck up toward the lead. Doesn't want to get too aggressive. He understands the fact that he can cause a big crash, so he doesn't want to be too aggressive, but it's getting late. He knows he's got to go.
Adam Alexander, what's happening on pit road?
Well, you got to point out about John West Townley and the situation he is in. You know, earlier today, he got away with an accident here at Talladega. He spun coming onto pit road. Not often you get a second chance at a place like this. This youngster making the best of it. What could have been a DNF could be a top 10. He's running 7th as we speak.
Conway freight truck goes sideways. It's Colin Brown gets turned around. The 15 of John Andretti spins as well. And so the caution comes out now for the 3rd or 4th time today.
The 6 blew a left rear tire, I believe. I thought I saw a tire coming off the 6. Yeah, you can see the tire's flat.
Yeah, we were watching that onboard camera shot. He just turned sideways.
In front of you, got to go to the
Looks
rear
like,
anyway.
See Mike Bean tell him just come on down pit road.
Blew a tire.
There's John Andretti. You heard Colin Brown say, blew a tire.
But man, Phil, how fortunate are we to have one of the lead trucks blow a tire and the thing shoots to the inside and other trucks aren't collected. That's just great.
That is amazing. We had 3 trucks that actually spun in that area. Take another look.
Watch the inside now. He's side by side with the 16 of Brian Scott. And then all of a sudden, bam, the tire goes down. Around it goes. You see the carcass flying off. And John Andretti was just caught by the back end of that Conway Ford.
What a great job of driving those trucks did there to avoid that.
They did a fantastic job, and how lucky are we that truck of Colin Brown didn't slide more up into the oncoming traffic.
Look at what those guys are looking at. They see nothing.
They don't know what's going to happen. They go into smoke and hope it's clear.
Here's Mike Wallace right here. He's following John West Townley. You see on the inside, that's the view we were looking at. You see that tire fly off that car or truck. This is John West Townley's onboard camera. Watch the left rear of that Conway truck right there. He's sideways. The tire is just about off the wheel right then before the truck is even completely sideways.
Great break for some of those guys that were stuck up on the outside, couldn't make any ground. Now they're going to get their position in line, Ray. It's going to be a crazy finish.
Well, they got 4 tires on that Conway Ford and continue to talk to him, trying to tell him to be patient and not tear the fenders off that. He did a good job of getting it into the pit road here. And also they're telling Eric Darnell this thing is not over either. But I do want to let you know, Jack Roush just came down off the box and started to walk away from the pit. So I'm not sure if he's conceding already, saying they don't have a shot to win this thing. But we'll see.
He's got 3 trucks still in this racetrack. Right now he's got John West Townley in 6th, Eric Darnell in 10th, and another teammate. They're not out of this thing.
I'm guessing Jack Roush is going to find a television. He's going to want to see this. The best seat in the house is right here on Speed. Stay with us. The final lap's coming up. Welcome back. Mountain Dew 250 presented on Speed by Toyota. Under 10 laps of racing to go. When they get the green flag, it'll be 7 very quick laps around this 2.66 mile super speedway. Krista, who have you caught up with?
The crew chief of the driver in the catbird seat, Kyle Busch, crew chief Richie Waters. Well, Richie, you guys were kind of sailing away, but it's Talladega, so anything can happen. Your thoughts here as we get into the closing laps with your driver?
Well, we got the best man for the job out there right now with Kyle, with his experience, with Todd behind us. And the Toyota Tunder's been pretty good all day. It's just that you got to position yourself at the end to be there so you can make a run at the end. And hopefully with Todd there, we can do something with that.
All right, that's Richie Waters, Kyle Busch's crew chief. Kyle Busch currently in the lead. Adam Alexander?
Mike Hillman Jr. calling the shots for the aforementioned Todd Bodine. So how do you like your positioning with less than 10 to go?
You know, we've been in this position many a times, and hopefully this Lumber Liquidators Toyota Tundra will go back to victory lane. You know, we've won the last 2 super speedway races from the lead, so we'll see how it's going to work here in second.
He is in the hunt going down the stretch once again, Ray.
Well, let's hear from Rick Wren. How's your Tums supply coming along today?
Well, earlier I told you I hadn't taken any, but I just took about a quarter of a bottle just then. I'll tell you what, now's the shootout. You know, we got, I don't know, 7 or 8 laps to go or whatever. It's just going to be like a Saturday night shootout right here, except it's at 180 mile an hour and 3 or 4 wide.
Does anybody say anything to Hornaday, or is it all in his hands now?
It's all up to him now. I just like to thank all the guys. I want to thank all our troops overseas for supporting what we do. And, you know, Chevrolet said they've never won a speedway race, so maybe today's the day. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, good luck to you, Rick Wren. Calling shots for Ron Hornaday. We're about ready to go back to green at Talladega.
I would like to get some of that Tums from him. This is this kills me. I mean, these guys are going to be. It says in the Bible somewhere, he who is first will be last, and vice versa. That could be the case right here. Kyle Busch is first right now. I don't see him staying there.
He could be last. That's true.
And that was a great start by Kyle Busch and Todd Bodine, lined up like that. Both got going quick. They didn't have a big gap or anything.
They kept everybody together. Hornaday looks like he has an idea.
Thoughts about going to the outside.
Really need to have a good run, some momentum when you tuck to the outside. You got to have that momentum, or you'll just drive out there and stall. He didn't have the momentum, was able to tuck back in to that inside line.
Yeah, Colin Brown was able to let him back in line there. He looked like he may have been able to squeeze him out if he wanted to. He gave him some room.
Inside of 10 laps to go, we always start in a single file restart, and a few trucks have moved outside of that low line. It is Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine. They are up to speed and running as they cross the start-finish line. 6 laps of racing to go at Talladega.
Eric Darnell had made a move to the outside. Mike Wallace was running 7th. He saw Eric coming. He said, I'm going to go outside there with him. I know I can't win this race from the bottom, from 7th. We're going to have to try to make something happen.
And that's the smartest thing. That's why people talk about how good Mike Wallace is. That's just a great decision. He knows how fast that Ford is. He said, I want to get in front of him. I got a pretty good idea where he's heading.
You see him motioning out the window, telling Eric to stay behind him. We'll try to work together here and get towards the front.
A lot of communication going on, not only with the hands, but also the spotters are being told, hey, let's work together to see if we can move to the front.
But be careful what you ask for, Phil. When you ask somebody to pull up behind you and hit you, it's a dangerous game. These bumpers don't match up. These trucks get very loose when people start pushing on them. Darnell decides he doesn't need Mike Wallace.
Eric Darnell has said, all right, I want to get by Mike Wallace. I want to lead this second pack. Let's see if he's able to do it. John West Townley will jump out in front of him. Let's see if those 2 Fords can work well together.
2 Fords, 2 teammates now on the outside.
They have been so strong this entire race. Eric Darnell has led 48 laps today at this racetrack. He wants to lead the last one. Inside of 5 laps of racing to go, it's still Kyle Busch out in front of Todd Bodine and Ron Hornaday.
West Townley doesn't know how to do the job like Eric Darnell and Mike Wallace does. You see him, he's not down on those other trucks. Eric Darnell says, man, I like you, John West, but we got to go. You're not doing it right.
Now Mike Wallace is going to come in. There's a bump draft. Eric jumps to the inside there. I'm not sure if he left enough room for Mike Wallace.
He moves in. A couple other trucks have moved out in front of that 99.
Tough break for Mike Wallace. He just couldn't get back in line. He'll fall to the back, but don't think his race is over.
Now, one of the trucks that moved out was the 6 of Colin Brown. Yes, Colin Brown did bring out our last caution. They put on 4 new tires, put him back out there, and Colin Brown went across the start-finish line in 7th the last lap.
Got John West sideways there. Somebody was pushing on him. He is being shucked out now. He's on the outside the 3rd lane by himself.
TJ Bell right behind Colin Brown. TJ got a lucky dog earlier. Now he's racing for the win here at Talladega.
What an impressive job he's done in that TRG Chevrolet here in the last few races. This is a brand new truck for TJ, built by Kevin Harvick for TRG.
It is heating up. They cross the start-finish line. 3 laps of racing to go at Talladega. Here comes that second line.
Colin Brown, 21st. One of the last trucks on the lead lap 2 laps ago. Now he's racing for the lead.
Here he comes, Colin Brown on the second line. The train is going by. Colin Brown has got momentum. Let's see if he can get by that 51 of Kyle Busch.
They're all pushing. You see them all wiggling. That's because they've got somebody on their bumper. Matt Crafton pulls out to make it 3 wide.
Side by side when they go into turn number 3. Kyle Busch on the inside. He's got help from the 30.
Colin Brown just doesn't need TJ Bell to get too overzealous and push that truck too hard. He'll push him right around, but they're taking the lead on the outside.
Getting ready to come through the tri-oval. Colin Brown, can he lead this lap? Here comes Kyle Busch once again. He surges forward on the inside. Across the start-finish line. The separation, 2 1/1000ths of a second. 2 laps of racing to go.
It's anyone's race right here. Colin Brown is leading that pack on the outside. Kyle Busch hanging tough right on the yellow line.
This is synchronized driving. Anything can go wrong at any second. The way they're pushing on each other, these trucks want to get out of control. The drivers are fighting constantly to try to hang on.
Look at Todd Bodine get up against that 51 and propel him by that 6 truck.
Those 2 trucks have pulled away from the rest of the trucks in the bottom line. That could be detrimental to that line.
Now here comes Hornaday. He's going to give a big push to Bodine, who will in return give that push to Kyle Busch.
Here comes Colin Brown again with momentum on the outside. TJ Bell right behind him.
Through the tri-oval, across the start-finish line. White flag is in the air, 1 to go. Colin Brown is leading in his Ford on the outside. Here comes Kyle Busch once again on the inside.
We're going to make it back around, Mikey?
I don't see how. I'm shocked we made it this far. I love the job these guys are doing, but I just can't explain how difficult this is, Phil. All these trucks are trying to crash.
Colin Brown now has the nose.
Oh, there it goes.
Problems behind him, and this will end the race. Who's in front?
The caution isn't out yet. This is all behind the pack. Maybe the caution hasn't flown. No caution.
They still haven't thrown the caution. Kyle Busch is in front of Todd Bodine. Colin Brown hung out on the outside. Can he get help from TJ Bell in time? Coming out of turn number 4. Now Todd Bodine moves to the outside. Bodine makes the run. They go through the tri-oval. Can Kyle Busch get to him?
Here
Todd Bodine and Kyle Busch. It's Todd Bodine at the line. He'll win again.
And TJ Bell into the outside wall, comes across the line 8th into the outside wall.
How about Todd Bodine winning the last 3 super speedway races?
He was able to get Kyle Busch sideways off turn 4, and that broke Kyle Busch's momentum. He jumped to the outside, and what did it open up? The floodgates. Here they all come.
Look at, do you see Rick Wren? How happy he was. Ron Hornaday comes across the line in 2nd. Johnny Benson 11th. We have a new point leader.
39 points unofficially, the difference between Hornaday and Benson. So we have a new point leader in the Truck Series, and a familiar face is going to be headed back to victory lane here at Talladega. Of the 3 races, he's won 2 of them.
How good is that? How good was that? That was perfect.
Also won Daytona last year.
3 in a row for Todd Bodine in this Lumber Liquidators Toyota Tundra.
I mean this year, Daytona this year.
Yeah.
The last 3 races.
Last 3 super speedway races. There's Mike Hillman Jr. emotional after this win.
Todd Bodine won that race. He got in the back of Kyle Busch coming off turn 4. We'll look at that. He got Busch all out of whack and just drove up beside him.
Todd Bodine celebrating win number 14. Adam.
And Mike Hillman Jr. had to wipe the tears from his eyes when he climbed down off the pit box. You got a hug from your father. I know you're excited, but what about that driver in the closing laps? He was amazing.
You know, that guy drives his butt off, and these guys pour their hearts into this thing. And 3 speedway races in a row, that's unheard of, you know. These guys do a great job week in and week out on this Lumber Liquidators Toyota Tundra. We fight through adversity no matter what they throw at us, and we're back in victory lane. It's awesome.
It's hard to win at Talladega. Not many have gone back-to-back. Todd Bodine, 2 in a row in Alabama.
His 2nd win of 2008. As you mentioned, Phil, he wins the first super speedway of the race, kicking off the 2008 season at Daytona. And now he grabs the checkered flag and will celebrate here in front of the crowd. Really soft.
That's all I can take, y'all.
Amazing race. Take a look at this final, well, about 400, 500 yards.
That's where he gets them sideways. He got Hornaday right behind him. They've got momentum right now. Now Kyle Busch has to be concerned about the 16 of Brian Scott. Todd Bodine drives by.
Brian Scott could have very well won that race if he could have just got an inch up beside Kyle Busch, but Kyle blocked him off. Brian had to come out of the gas. He had a great run down on the bottom.
And remember, the flat of the racetrack on the last lap will work, is not out of bounds.
Look at that pack. 3, 4, 5 wide across the start-finish line.
And all of them made it but one. That's pretty amazing.
Unbelievable.
And T.J. Bell, the way he ran all day long, he'll sacrifice a truck for that top 5 finish he's searching for. Right here, he thinks, I got a top 5 coming.
Look at this. 4, 5, almost 6 wide as they come through the tri-oval here to determine the final, about 15 spots.
TJ was just looking for some room out there, ran out of room, but still crossed the line in 8th.
He knew there was a wall over there. He's just making sure he's using up all the track he could possibly use.
He saw what Carl Edwards did a week ago.
Watch
Use
this
the
move
wall.
right here. Watch him get him sideways. Right there. He's going to the inside.
Right through the middle, able to get by that 51, and then he had the help of the 33 behind him, pushed him right across the start-finish line for his 3rd super speedway win in the last 3 speedway races.
Does Kyle Busch watch his hands? That's when he got a little bit loose right there. That's him entering the tri-oval right there. Todd already got into the back of him, got him loose. We saw his hands. Now he's fighting back, trying to side draft off Hornaday. Now then he pulled down the block. Brian Scott in the 16 truck.
Ron Hornaday racing for a championship. Comes home 2nd at Talladega. Huge day.
What a big day. Now, the only hurdle really for Ron Hornaday, well, not the only hurdle, but one of the big hurdles is our next race, which is Martinsville, a short track race. Take a look at this from the Goodyear boy.
I tell you, Brian Scott really had a nice run going till Kyle Busch pulled down to the inside, blocked him, then that took all his momentum away.
You know the hype that Mike Wallace gets for being one of the best restrictor plate super speedway drivers there is? He deserves it. 5th place finish.
We saw him get shuffled back.
Look at this. Crew celebrating when they see him go across the start-finish line. How about a fan of Todd Bodine's, Bo Bice? Take a look at him in the gray shirt there. Good friend of Todd Bodine's, the Onions. Bo Bice celebrating.
Baby!
How about that?
I think I can get more air than him.
Let's go down to Chris Devoto.
Well, we are with Kyle Busch, the other Toyota, who was leading that race. And Kyle, I know anything is it's wild at Talladega. You were on the front end of this thing when we were here in the Cup race in the spring. Talk about that last lap. Is there anything you could have done differently, or what happened out there from your perspective?
No, nothing really I could have done differently. Bodine's truck was just real strong. He was the best Toyota we had out there today, and I just unfortunately, he got into us coming off the corner there, got me a little bit loose, but I got it back down to the bottom, and they shot up and around me on the outside. But we wouldn't have been in that position anyways if it wasn't for Todd dumping the 99 and getting in behind us earlier and being able to push us up there like that. So, I guess the 3rd place at Talladega is pretty good, and we'll take that and, go on into the next few.
Well, I know he wanted to be on the front end of it, but Kyle Busch is such a fan of these truck races and Talladega. Like he said, he'll take that top 3 finish and head out. Let's go to Victory Lane, though. Our other Toyota, the winner, Todd Bodine.
And the celebration started long before Todd Bodine got here. And now that he's in Victory Lane, it continues. Another checkered flag for Todd Bodine at Talladega. Oh, my, what a final lap. Take us through.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think. Going down the back straightaway, I'm thinking, okay, I just finished 2nd here, push Kyle down there, try to get him to win, get a good finish, good points race. And we come off a 4, and I hit him, got him sideways, and I had to go to the outside. And then I had a buddy behind me, Ron Hornaday. We've been friends here. Even the deal at Charlotte, we got over it. We drink beers together. We park our coaches together, playing cornhole. He was back there, and he come back and pushed me, and here we are. I can't believe it.
Put in perspective what it's like to win 3 consecutive races at super speedway tracks.
Well, I tell you, it's these guys right here. They worked their tail off on this truck, and when they built it, and then they rebuilt it, and they rebuilt it again for here. And these are the guys that make it run good. Everybody at Germain Racing, all the Fab Shop, everybody at TRD and the Motor Shop. The Fords had us covered with horsepower, but a good handling truck with a good body in this Tundra. We kept with them, and I gotta thank all the fans that are here. The great crowd today. Hope it was good TV.
Indeed it was. Todd Bodine's had some ups and downs throughout this year, but when you win at Talladega, it makes all the problems go away. He's done it 3 times in a row. Talladega, Daytona, and back here in Talladega again, guys.
His 110th race and his 14th career win. Todd Bodine back in victory lane again. He celebrates, and he knows how to do it. He's done it 14 times with those wins. We'll be back for more of the action from Talladega right after these messages.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is presented on Speed by Toyota, moving forward, and brought to you in part by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Todd Bodine winning this one today, actually by a wide margin. A year ago, the difference between first and second was .014 seconds. Well, Ron Hornaday was way back there, 0.07 of a second behind Todd Bodine. Let's hear from him.
Well, let's talk to Ron Hornaday about what an amazing race you had today. Tell us about that last lap. What's it like being the driver whenever they're 3 wide coming after the white flag?
I would just hold on to my truck. I seen them two get together and they got sideways. And I was going for the open spot and it ended up where Todd got in front of him and I pushed him to the win. But awesome job for the Camping World Chevrolet. Rick Wren, all the guys. I got to thank Cale Gale. He's been sticking around these races and building shocks for us. And Houston, everybody at the shop is just doing an awesome job, and this is what makes it so fun. And bringing a brand new truck, never been tested, and Chevrolet putting it in the wind tunnel with us, and Mark Smith with the motors. We'll take a second. That feels like a win here at Talladega for me.
Ron, you had the penalty on pit road, and then it got you way back in 26. At that point, were you worried at all, or did you know you could get back to the front?
Well, you don't know that. You don't. Nobody was moving. You know, Rick Wren was all worried about it, but we got a new Fendagle tack in that thing with a bunch of lights and everything, and I never seen it go to red. I guess it's got to go to yellow, green, and then red. And I'm learning about it, but I don't know if that got me on speeding or not. Maybe I just got excited. But the truck came back through. I mean, I got to thank Mike Wallace. I left him out there. We'll blame Rick Crowley on that one. I ain't going to take the blame on that. I told him never let me leave my wingman, and he cleared me, and I thought Mike was with us, and I went down and I looked up and Mike wasn't with us. So I owe Mike Wallace one. He definitely pushed me to the front, and but like I said, we'll take second. Todd's back bumper's probably tore off that thing. He's been beat up all day long, and I'm glad that our Camping World Chevrolet's got to push him to the front.
Great finish for Ron Hornaday, and he finishes second. Another good day in the points. Krista?
Well, Colin Brown was driving the train on the high line, and with 2 laps to go, Colin, you were in position to win this race. Had that sunk in? What was going through your mind? Did you think, I'm about to win a race at Talladega?
No, not really. I was just trying to do everything I could to keep that number 6 Common Freight Ford F-150 truck near the front. You know, these guys work so hard on that truck, and my crew chief, Mike Beam, and the body guy, Will, they've been in the wind tunnel nonstop the last little bit, and, you know, till the wee hours of the morning. And they've done a really good job with that truck, and obviously we had great Roush Yates power, but didn't really think about it, just was trying to do everything I could to get back to the front after we blew that tire out there in the middle of the race, and you know, just had to work the top line, and wherever trucks weren't is where my truck seemed to run pretty good at.
And you're leading this Raybestos rookie standings. You come here, and it's such a wild card. Anything could happen. You go out of here, what's your goal for the rest of the season? Obviously to get that win, but what else do you want to do?
Well, obviously win that Rookie of the Year championship, and it'd be nice to get a race win in here. I feel like we've been in a position where quite a few times this year, you know, maybe at the midpoint of the race to have a fast enough truck to win it and haven't put it together. You know, either made a rookie mistake or had, you know, somebody get wrecked in front of us and run into it. So had those kind of problems, but I feel like we've maybe shed some of that, and hopefully can get a race win in here before the year's out.
Colin Brown getting close. Rick?
Well, Colin Brown was leading when they took the white flag, but 2.66 miles later, it was Todd Bodine getting the help from our point leader, Ron Hornaday, and the win at Talladega.